Are you tired of the violence, tired of the injustice, police brutality, rampant discrimination, lack of gun control in this failed biased socioeconomic experiment called America? Or maybe you need a break from the relentless grind and want to regain control of your destiny, your wealth, your health, and your purpose. DiversifiedGame.com has the right course for you. Prepare for my first trip to Africa. Looking to reconnect with your roots, start a new business, or just a fresh start. Africa, aka the motherland, is waiting. Don't let the Chinese and the Mzungus have the fun and also take over the motherland. From Cairo to Mombasa, from Dakar to Cape Town, Africa has something for everyone, from business opportunities to the most amazing people, safety, leisure, and landscapes. The opportunities abound. It is time for the diaspora to reconnect with their roots. Time to reconnect with the birthplace of humanity. Africa is the last frontier. Get your head in the game and reclaim your legacy. The writing is on the wall. Babylon is falling. Give up the stress, grind, and violence inflicted on our people on this continent and prepare for a journey of restoration enjoyed by connecting with the land of your ancestors. Check out our new course and kick off your adventure at DiversifiedGame.com.
Yes, people, welcome back to the African Diaspora News channel. Before we begin today's update, please like and subscribe and support the platform and spread the word. Now, a couple quick points I wanted to bring to you today regarding the recent sentencing of Derek Chauvin, who was convicted and sentenced for murdering George Floyd last year. Now, 2 points I want to bring to the table today, and I want to know what you all think who are watching this. Of course, this was more than just the trial of one man. First of all, arguably, Derek Chauvin wouldn't have even faced trial were it not for the fact that his murdering actions were filmed and caught on camera and shared around the world, sparking global protests. We saw protests here in London outside the US Embassy, all across the country, all across the world. So this was very much about anti-black policing in the US and white supremacy. And the fact that police officers, because of the white supremacist system and because of white supremacist police officers, time and time again, they never face jail, much less get charged and faced any sort of accountability. Now, of course, Derek Chauvin now has received 22 and a half years. Now, I've heard that in Minnesota, people have to serve at least 3/4 of the sentence that they get given. I'm not sure if that's true. That's what I've heard. Now, first of all, I'm skeptical as to whether or not Derek Chauvin will even serve all of that sentence. I suspect he may be out somehow in 10 years or maybe even less. I'm not really sure. But I have a strong feeling that he's not going to see all of that custodial sentence. I don't think necessarily he's going to remain behind bars for the rest of his life, as I think he should. Now, the first point to raise regarding the sentencing was the fact that in this circus in the land of white supremacy, for some reason, Derek Chauvin's mother was allowed to take to the podium and offer her thoughts about her son. Quite what the relevance is of this in the framework of a serious trial, I do not know. But I imagine, of course, because this is being broadcasted around the world, there were those people and certain powers that be that thought it was important that somehow the humanity of Derek Chauvin, quote unquote, Keith Ellison talked about the humanity, so-called humanity of Derek Chauvin. But Derek Chauvin's mum took to the podium and she had this to say. Let's roll a clip of what she had to say.
I am the mother of Derek Chauvin. I am here to speak on behalf of my entire family. On November 25th, 2020, not only did Derek's life change forever, but so did mine and my family's. Derek devoted 19 years of his life to the Minneapolis Police Department. It has been difficult for me to hear and read what the media, public, and prosecution team believe Derek to be an aggressive, heartless and uncaring person. I can tell you that is far from the truth. My son's identity has also been reduced to that as a racist. I want this court to know that none of these things are true and that my son is a good man.
So as we can see, this is very much the mother of a convicted murderer opining and talking about the fact her son was a good man. She believes her son has a good heart, etc., etc. Now, this is just ridiculous to me, and it reminds me of how the media always try to present the humanity of suspected white supremacists and white supremacists that carry out murders. You saw this recently with in the US where two, I think it was white teens, were guilty of carrying out some shootings, I think, and the media were very much talking about them as if they were some kind of angelic kids, very much humanizing them in the media. And of course, this extends to the so-called system of justice in the US. So here you have Chauvin's mother talking about Chauvin was a good man, he has humanity, I know he has a good heart. And of course, you know, this really reminds us that when it comes to racism and white supremacy, it's treated completely differently by the states and the so-called system of justice at every single level. This has been the bedrock of the country, and this is how it's still run regarding whatever anyone says. And you see this, of course, with police officers all the time. There's always an excuse. There's always a defense made of them, even in the face of the obviously indefensible. So that's the first point I wanted to bring regarding Chauvin's sentencing. Now, the other point I wanted to talk about is the fact that already this guy, for all these kind of right-wing racist armed militia groups, all these different sort of aspects of white supremacy, he already became a sort of poster pin-up, an almost kind of martyr figure for them. Now, I predict, it's my belief that whenever this guy is eventually released, I think he's going to become a sort of a symbol for white supremacy. I can already imagine Netflix, all these other platforms, probably making a film about this. You know, you can probably write in the comments who you think is going to play Derek Chauvin. But I think this guy is going to get lucrative production deals, film deals, probably book deals. And the reality is this guy is going to come out and make a lot of money. There's going to be all sorts of sections of white supremacist society that want access to this guy, that are going to be falling over themselves to tell his side of the story, etc., etc. And I really believe this is going to have a very lucrative ending for Derek Chauvin. Yeah, it's positive he's behind bars now, not nearly long enough for me. I don't think he ever should have seen daylight again, in my opinion. But the reality is this guy is going to be out from prison at some point. He's going to be walking free with his family, with his loved ones, and of course George Floyd and his family are never going to experience that again. Derek Chauvin's going to come out, and I'm almost convinced 100% he's going to make a lot of money. I'm reminded of the case of Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman. Zimmerman, of course, never even went to prison because of the obscure and racist system, never faced any accountability. And not only that, he was able to make a lot of money too. And I'm pretty sure Zimmerman was actually able to sell the weapon that he killed Trayvon with. In quite what universe that should even be allowed is beyond me. It's despicable, it's disgusting. But again, you know, we're reminded time and time again that these white supremacists are always treated by the system of white supremacy in a completely different way to everyone else. This is not some kind of new story. We know this to be the case, and we see this play out time and time again. But for me, the whole charade of the sentencing was not really a sort of signal of justice for me. For me, it was more a vindication and a reminder of the system of entrenched white supremacy. Because even if Chauvin had been given the rest of his natural life behind bars, Even if he had got the sentence that he should have got, this is not really going to set any sort of precedent for the future. In my view, unless police officers and white supremacist police officers in the future face accountability every time, and also all the cases that have already passed. By the way, there's, however many cases, hundreds of cases, if not more, of police officers that never faced any accountability until they face accountability for the crimes they have committed, and until these white supremacists face accountability like this in the future, it doesn't really mean anything. This is just symbolism. It might be a measure of justice or a stepping stone of accountability for the family of George Floyd now, but I think you're going to see a very different reality in the future. The reality is Derek Chauvin one day is going to walk to freedom from behind those bars, and he's going to be able to live his life with his family, and his story and the story of how he murdered George Floyd will be seized upon. It will be made money from, because there are millions of white supremacists, as we know, in the United States and in the world, who really believe Chauvin should have walked free, who support him, and that situation is not changing overnight. I can almost see the news of the Netflix or some sort of production deal or some sort of a book deal, all the interviews he's going to be given, and the fact that his mum took the podium and was given the opportunity to articulate her son's so-called innocence and his humanity when we're talking about an individual that murdered George Floyd is absolutely despicable. So yeah, I just wanted to raise a couple of points regarding the sentencing of Chauvin. Let me know what you think in the comments. We appreciate you tuning in as always. Please like and subscribe, support the platform, sign up to the African Diaspora News channel website as well. Get involved in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in. My name's Richard Sudan, and we will see you next time.
Please make sure you subscribe to the African Diaspora News Channel app on these platforms.